Welcome to City West Arena. We're in Dublin, Ireland for the World Handball Championships. My name is Dave Vincent alongside David Fink. Here it is, the men's semifinals here after a great opening ceremony that had literally thousands of people watching this great display of Irish heritage music as well as dancing, and then the ceremony where they brought in all of the different countries and they displayed their flags. It was quite an ordeal here in Ireland as we get ready for Paul Brady and Michael Finnegan. They're warming up right now. Dave, what is Mike Finnegan going to have to do to defeat his fellow doubles partner and the best player in the world, Paul Brady?
Well, Mike Finnegan, Dave, will have to keep those Cinderella slippers on. Hope the clock doesn't strike midnight, because Mike Finnegan has decimated the WPH Team Elite yesterday, taking out Sean Lenning and then Nadia Alvarado. Mike Finnegan coming in here is the 13th seed. No one really expecting him to be here tonight, but he's here. Dave, he's earned his spot here by taking down two of the top players in the world. And Dave, he's playing his doubles partner, a guy that he's trained against, played with for so many years. Certainly, Dave, Paul Brady, the overwhelming favorite, but on this stage, Dave, you have to think anything can happen.
Well, not only did Michael Finnegan take down Sean Lenning and Nadia Alvarado yesterday, but he also defeated Billy O'Donnell in the first round, which is a great win too. And in fact, there's people that thought that Billy O'Donnell had a chance at defeating Mike Finnegan, and that is sort of an indication that you kind of get when you walk around the stands here. A lot of people really did not think that Mike Finnegan would get out of that first round, but he did. And then he got past the big Sean Lenning, who a lot felt would be in the semifinals to face Paul Brady here.
That's true. A lot of people looking forward to a 2007 rematch from when Paul Brady defeated Sean 11-10 in the tiebreaker in that classic U.S. Open final. But for Sean, it wasn't meant to be, as Mike Finnegan raced through Billy O'Donnell, who's actually very similar to Michael Finnegan, similar style and a similar build to Michael Finnegan.
Let's listen for the announcement here from our referee.
The last time, Dave, that we saw Mike Finnegan, as we listened to the applause from about 5,000 fans, was at the U.S. Open last year in Southern California. He teamed up with Paul Brady as Paul made his comeback from that finger injury playing doubles last year. The two of them, Dave, nearly gave Marcos Chavez and Vince Munoz a donut in the second game. That team had never lost before. They both looked outstanding last year. Now it'll be Mike Finnegan manning the entire court, not just the right side.
Mike Finnegan and Paul Brady are best friends. They're sparring partners. They play at Kingspan, the amazing facility in Cavan, County Cavan, just down the street from Paul Brady's house and just a couple blocks away from where Mike Finnegan works and lives. As Paul Brady now walks into the court here, and let's see how these fellow Irishmen respond to each other as being friends here as they compete in the semifinals of the World Handball Championships.
Tommy, T-O-M-M-I.
There's that first serve right there.
W-L-S-H.
Paul pounding that left wall there. He had the open lane down the right. He decided to go back into that glass on the left.
The angle of that ball came into Paul's body. Very difficult, Dave,
well, Tommy Walsh, congratulations.
take that ball down the right wall, so we went behind Mike to the left.
For the visit tonight.
We did it, and thanks a million. It was a great year for us in the end. No problem.
Yeah, that might work.
Dave, it's very difficult to play against your best friend in a local tournament, let alone in a World Championship semifinal in front of 5,000 fans. So we'll see how these guys manage their emotions in this high excitement environment.
Have a little chuckle right there from the referee.
Very difficult, Dave, to make that ball bounce twice before coming into the side wall, but Paul Brady was able to do it by putting just a little bit of reverse on that shot. Now here's a big setup for Paul. You see, Dave, Paul freezing Michael there, forcing Michael to commit to the left, and then he goes down the right.
Nice little flip up right there from Mike, but Paul's going to go right to the corner, and he does. Closes that one out for another point. This crowd's really quiet right now, Dave. Mike is all defense right now.
Paul has struggled, Dave, with the back wall in the back left corner thus far on this show court. Great return there from Paul. But Mike has an opportunity, Dave, albeit a slight opening, but he converts in the right corner.
It's a short ball. I don't know how this referee does it. He's holding on to 2 microphones, a clipboard, trying to keep score, and there's a side out. Double fault from Mike Finnegan. He has to get as many points as he can when he's serving. He can't be back there returning serve because Paul is a beast when he's in the front court.
Force Paul to hit shots. And Michael hitting a sidearm stroke pass there, Dave. Hits primarily the Irish whip, but that time bent down and stroked that sidearm.
Well, that sidearm stroke of his is kind of his go-to. He uses a fist and he punches it. That ball's going to make the front wall.
And Michael with a very nice explosion first step there.
Mike tries to go for that crack, barely misses it. Paul overhits that ball. Big setup for Mike, goes down the right wall. Paul catches up with it.
Referee letting the play continue. I like that, Dave. And Paul just feathering that ball down the right side wall.
He would have got to that ball, but his first step, he slipped. His footing came out of underneath him.
Also difficult to pick that ball up as it goes into the front right corner. Hard to read whether it's going to hit the side wall or the front wall first.
It must be difficult, Dave, to play your longtime friend and current doubles partner in a big championship like this. I wouldn't know because I've never been in a championship and I don't have doubles partners that like me.
Well, I think you had a friend one time, and even playing him in a local tournament, Dave, is difficult because at one point you want to beat him so badly, but at the other point you're thinking, this is my good buddy. I don't want him to feel badly. But particularly more difficult, Dave, for Paul, who has obviously always had the better of Michael in their sparring sessions and tournament play. And he wants good things for Michael. I'm sure he's extremely happy that his partner has made it this far in the event.
We will try to get the score to you. We cannot hear the referee's microphone through our headsets. Look at that dig right there from Paul Brady.
Amazing rally there from Mike Finnegan. Hit 3 perfect shots in a row. Paul making 2 amazing retrieves. And Michael finishing off the rally with a paddle kill down the left. Now a second serve for Mike Finnegan.
Here's a second serve now after that power short ball. Paul's going to come in and see what he does here. He goes right to the line, actually makes contact with Mike. Referee could have called an avoidable there, I think.
I just don't like that second serve, though. Almost had our first souvenir there, Davis. Mike hit the top of the back wall on that retrieve, but Paul Brady coolly drilling that ball into the right corner.
Referee calls that score before the players are even into their respective positions. Score is 5-3 here. Ball barely over the line.
How does Mike get that return of serve to the ceiling, Dave? Just about 2 inches off the ground.
My gosh, Paul hits that ball hard.
Paul not quite in his groove yet, Dave. He's been unable to put away a couple of kill shot opportunities. And there he locates that amazing low reverse serve down the left. We have word, Dave, that that's actually bounced 3 times before the back wall at times, and now consecutive ace serves. Difficult enough to beat Paul Brady, Dave, as he's one of the great ralliers and power hitters in the history of the game. But combine that, Dave, with the 10 to 12 unreturned serves he hits per game, and now that's a turkey. 3 straight aces. And now Dave, Paul completely zoned in. That was a reverse pass and a timeout for Mike Finnegan, but let's take an instant replay, Dave, of that last passing shot that earned Paul his 9th point before the timeout.
That's if the replay is available here. Of course, we have those closing ceremonies that's taken a little bit of our technology away, Dave. Let's look at it here as this replay brought to you by our superb technicians outside in the van.
And look at the placement there, Dave. Mike has to respect Paul shooting the right corner, so he's leaning a little bit right, but that timeout, Dave, certainly more due to fatigue than I think strategy. You saw Mike's legs a little bit jello-y there as he was just unable to change directions and go back to his left. He could have potentially even picked that ball off the back wall, but it was just one of those things where his legs weren't going to go where his mind wanted.
Well, even more amazing is the fact that Mike was just a couple feet away from that side wall, and Paul still found a way to blow the ball by him.
Wow, that's called threading the needle. He had a small opening, and he found it.
That ball was short. Paul may appeal this, but it was short. There is no referee's microphone at this moment for the broadcast because Aiden Power has it, and he's doing some interviews downstairs.
And that's not a good air there from Michael Finnegan. Paul looked like he was trying to take a little bit off of that first serve, came about 8 inches short. He'll go to this Z serve, second serve.
Paul hits that ball out like it's being shot out of a cannon.
Amazing retrieve there from Paul. Most players, Dave, would start walking the service box when they drilled the ball down the right side wall, but Mike knew it was coming back, and he pounced on the weak reply.
Score here is 3-10, first game, men's semifinals of the World Handball Championships, and Paul Brady just inside outs that ball down the right wall for a side out. Paul Brady versus Mike Finnegan.
It's incredible, Dave, that Paul has so many different swings. He's mastered all of them, and he knows exactly when to use each one. And Mike's legs now, Dave, I think about completely gone, and that's what Paul Brady does to you. You play Paul Brady for 10 minutes, and you felt like you just ran 40 miles in a full sprint. I can't imagine what playing him for 40 minutes would feel like, but most people don't make it that long. Paul's average match length, Dave, in this event, just 28 minutes. In the USHA Nationals, Dave, that Paul won for the 7th time 4 months ago, the average match length of his 4 opponents was just 38 minutes.
Well, to tell you more about that, which I find quite interesting, is when they organized this tournament, for every Paul Brady match, they only scheduled his matches for 45 minutes. Everybody else had 1 hour and 15.
So they've done their research then, is what you're saying.
I was going to bring it up yesterday. I wasn't quite sure if it was kosher to say it or not, but now that you're on to the subject, they very well know that Paul Brady matches are fast. It's the first time I've ever seen a handball player get a mandatory 45 minutes for all of the matches that he played. In his first round match, they scheduled 30 minutes. When I talk to the organizers, they say, well, Paul's going to he'll make sure that match is over in 20 minutes.
Paul overhitting the fist wraparound shot. Mike takes advantage of it with a beautiful kill shot in the right corner. It's imperative, Dave, that Mike Finnegan locates his first serve. And there's one of those strange hand airs. We've seen that quite a bit, Dave, from Paul Brady. Over half of his opponent's points in this event in showdown combined have come from left-handed hand airs from the back court.
Boy, Mike went in hard to that side wall over there.
I'm not sure, Dave, that dive is worth it there. The amount of energy you expend and the chance you have to win the rally don't really relate. The risk reward not really worth it there. Because if he does flip that ball up, Dave, he's stuck against the side wall. Paul Brady's waiting to just pounce down the left wall.
Well, I understand that from your perspective, from ours here in the booth too, and you know, it's probably the right thing to say, but as a competitor with a couple thousand people here in the stands, you want to show everybody that you're giving everything that you have to try to score points. Mike Finnegan is going to go all out here, Dave. He wants everybody to know that he's no slouch and that he's going to try to earn everything. Even if he scores 0 points, he's going to fly across the floor here and leave it all out. At least he can drive home and say he did it. He might have a broken kneecap, but at least he can drive home and say that he tried.
During that Newt Rockne speech that you just gave, Dave, Mike Finnegan earning the side out with a Paul Brady left-handed air.
This could be a setup if it does come off side wall, and it doesn't.
And
Unbelievable.
that's just an amazing shot. And very difficult shot, Dave, as the ball comes down off the back wall with virtually no speed. And the ball's coming almost straight down vertically, and Paul's still able to find that bottom board.
The ball was short.
That's sort of hitting the window on the front wall used for the camera, but the referee not replaying it. And there's Paul Brady's stiff arm underhand paddle kill swing.
Unable to hear that score.
Most players, Dave, happy to master 2 or 3 swings. Paul Brady has, by my count, 11 swings.
I know Paul Brady has 13. Not 13 swings, but 13 points.
Okay.
Sorry. Now it's 14 to, I believe, 3, but it could be 5. Now, normally after the referee calls the score 14 to 5, yeah, there is a scoreboard hanging from the back wall. I don't know if our camera will be able to see that after this instant replay. Mike Finnegan goes down that left wall.
Unable to put enough reverse on that to keep it off the left side wall. And now Paul has Mike in the back court. Paul scrambling here, but Paul's still dangerous, Dave, while he's scrambling, as you see, putting Michael completely off balance. And now here's this just unbelievable kill. And a lot of times, Dave, the downspin on that ball as it's coming straight down off the back wall hits your hand and forces the ball into the ground, but Paul Brady compensates for that by putting extra reverse on it.
You're watching the World Handball Championships here at City West Arena in Dublin, Ireland. It's Paul Brady versus Mike Finnegan for this men's semifinal match. Paul Brady has 14 points. Mike Finnegan has 5. They've only been on the court for about 15 minutes or so, and the reason why you can't hear the referee's microphone is because there's so much media inside of this complex that some of the technicians, the grips, the camera operators, they're on different channels. Well, one of them is actually on the same channel that our referee is using for our wireless microphone, and that's the reason why we had to turn his microphone down, because we're actually getting interference from some of that TV interview that's going on downstairs in the pavilion, possibly even upstairs, because there's so many people with cameras and notepads. A lot of media here at this facility. I have my media pass on. That's good for about 5 Guinnesses if you walk in the right crowd.
And that was just a very strange point from Paul Brady. Attempted a tomahawk pass that was unsuccessful, and then just a strange ceiling shot from the middle of the court. So I guess a good timeout for Mike Finnegan there, as he earns a quick side out and then a quick point. Not much more you can hope for.
I think that was a smart timeout. Unbelievable shot right there, and Mike Finnegan made his best shot of the day when he kicked it to that left corner.
Right back to Paul Brady.
There's a child missing in the fairground.
That's a
tremendous rally here,
good
Dave.
defensive shot from Paul Brady right there. You're right, Dave. When he's on the run, he's able to do things defensively that are just remarkable.
I see that, Dave, from the top Irish players. I would think that that's something that's taught at all the clubs here. They have that get out of jail free card. When on the run, they can punch and paddle, reset the rally.
Tonight we're in for a treat. We have some thrilling semi-finals in prospect.
Absolutely incredible handball, Dave. The athleticism here, the reflexes, and the hand-eye coordination is second to none. These two, certainly two of the top athletes in the world.
Paul Brady hits his backhanded flip harder than I hit a normal stroke. I mean, that was a brilliant little shot that he made into that corner. As we get back into play here, Paul Brady has that opening. He takes it, gets the point. Now we're at 15-6 here in the first game of the semifinals.
Boom! Touch him up.
You see
Robbie
McCarthy, Dave, already starting to get his gear ready. He knows he'll be up 10 minutes after this match, but he's not anticipating that this match has many legs left.
Paul Brady serving here at 17-6. There's a great camera angle right there that shows you how truly massive this event is. There's people in every seat that can actually see the court. And if they had glass on the front wall, you'd see more people. You can almost see the scoreboard from that angle.
This rally, Dave, just absolutely amazing. Paul Brady looked like he was in trouble there, but finds a way to paddle the shot straight down the left wall out of Mike Finnegan's reach. And that was a rare mistake there on the first serve from Paul Brady, as Mike Finnegan had an opening and he took advantage.
So far, nobody's been out of single digits against Paul Brady in these games, and Mike Finnegan's knocking on that door at 7-17. Paul thought that Mike's was a double bounce.
I think Paul was saying he wasn't sure if he got his get. Paul picking up a ball that looked close.
And Paul overhits that shot right there. Finnegan tries to pass him down the wall. Look at what Paul does there. He just, unbelievable, Dave. He's able to float that down the side wall.
Well, it's frustrating there for Mike Finnegan, as he should have won that rally. And now the veteran, Mike Finnegan, Dave, using a towel timeout for the side wall. He's going to buy himself at least 30 seconds here. Every second, Dave, that you can get some air back in those lungs makes a difference.
That was a smart move from Finnegan.
Paul hitting that passing shot, Dave, very much like a serve, puts a big reverse on it, so the ball checks up on the floor and dies in the back left corner.
Michael Finnegan calling a timeout here with Paul Brady in the lead. They moved that score from 17 down to 16, or maybe it says 18. Sorry about that.
Mike Finnegan has now called his third timeout, Dave, so if he's going to mount any kind of charge here, trailing 6-18, it'll be without any timeouts. I'm not sure I've ever seen Paul Brady call a timeout, but then again, I've never seen someone score more than 2 points in a row against him.
To include yourself.
Thank you for that.
You're watching the World Handball Championships live in Dublin, Ireland at the City West Arena. My name is Dave Vincent alongside David Fink. Paul Brady versus Michael Finnegan for this match. We're on the security cam web booth picture that we got here with Dave Fink and I both so grateful that the locals here have been presenting us with open arms every time we come through the facility.
So you're saying you've left this booth then since you've been in Ireland?
No, I've been sleeping here actually, to be honest.
We're actually perched about 10 feet above the court here, Dave. A lot of times we're in a separate room or possibly outside, but we actually can feel the electricity in this arena right now. We're actually rubbing elbows with the patrons here.
And there's another point for Mike Finnegan, who might go into double digits. 9 serves 18. Yeah, we're actually in the press section. They're only missing a press door and a press food court. And there it is. The first person to get out of single digits is Mike Finnegan.
And a lot of the crowd recognizing that, Dave. A good accomplishment for any player.
Well, they told me it's been 57 rounds of handball since Paul Brady has given up double digits.
That's actually not true. I don't know who gave you that information, but there were 4 players at the USHA 4-Wall Nationals that entered double figures.
No, what you don't know is that we're talking about practice and in his match. We're talking about just the last 57 matches that he's played. Apologize for not making that clear.
Apology accepted.
And it's almost like that upset Paul just a little bit, as he's now serving to win the first game.
Well, Dave, when you are as dominant as Paul Brady, you have to set goals within goals. And I believe one of the goals he sets is to keep every one of his opponents in single figures. And consequently, Dave, I believe that Paul Brady's opponents set goals to get into double figures.
I think some are setting goals to score points. Or a point, I mean. Look at that shot right there. Paul actually hits the side wall about 2 feet off the back wall.
That's called a wide corner kill.
And there
Paul
it is.
Closes out game number 1. Sorry, Dave. 21-10. Paul, at times looking like the Paul Brady we've seen win 3 straight world championships, made a couple of errors. 5 of Mike Finnegan's points coming on Paul Brady hand errors, 4 of those with his left hand from the back court. But in any event, Dave, it's Paul Brady doing what you and I think everyone in this arena expected, cruising to a 21-10 first game victory.
Paul Brady does take down Mike Finnegan, and the crowd is exiting, but they do that in between games here in Ireland more than any other place I've gone to. And what they do is they go down and get some tea and some biscuits, and they catch up with some of their friends and check the brackets downstairs, and then they come right back up. They have it timed perfectly. Within 5 minutes, we'll be back in for game number 2, and they will be back in with tea and cookies for game number 2. Later on this afternoon, or this evening, I should say, it's afternoon back home, but later on this evening, it's going to be Luis Moreno and Robbie McCarthy. Let's talk about that briefly. They haven't played since both of them were junior players, according to Luis Moreno. He said back then that he's never lost to Robbie McCarthy before, and they've played multiple times back in the junior ranks. But I don't believe that Luis Moreno realizes that this is a new, re-energized Robbie McCarthy. You saw something yesterday in Robbie McCarthy that you didn't see before. I saw that at the U.S. Open. He has a gift. It's really special. Sometimes when he wants to apply himself, he has the footwork of Paul Brady. Sometimes when he wants to apply himself, he has the hands of Luis Moreno. He certainly is headstrong, like maybe a Tony Healy. What is it about Robbie McCarthy that he brings to the table that could defeat Luis Moreno, Dave?
Well, Robbie McCarthy can match Luis Moreno for power and also for get ability. I think Luis Moreno's serve a little bit stronger, but Robbie McCarthy will be playing here in front of his home fans on his home court, essentially. And, you know, I think Robbie McCarthy, Dave, is one of these guys that is a little bit underrated for his speed. He looks like he's not even running. He looks like he's not moving, but he seems to track down every ball when he goes into lockdown mode, which we saw him do towards the end of that first game in his quarterfinal match yesterday against Owen Kennedy and throughout the second and third games. There wasn't a ball he didn't get his hand on, and when he gets his hand on a ball, Dave, he's able to flip the ball into spots that are very difficult for his opponent.
Luis Moreno and Robbie McCarthy have similar power too. It seems to me that Robbie can match that power that Luis Moreno has. What is Luis going to have to do in order to defeat Robbie McCarthy? Yesterday we saw Brian Carroll get every single ball that Robbie McCarthy hit and yet still lost the match. Luis Moreno is a get artist. If he gets those balls, he could still lose to Robbie McCarthy based on what we saw with Brian Carroll.
Well, I would have given the edge to Robbie McCarthy with the left hand, but Luis Moreno has really improved that left hand, Dave, since the four-wall nationals 4 months ago. He's been in the court hitting 500 or 1,000 balls a day with his left. I think his left is almost caught up to his right hand. The big question in my mind, Dave, is can Robbie McCarthy sustain the endurance and the stamina necessary when you play Luis Moreno? Because very much like playing Paul Brady, Dave, Luis Moreno applies a lot of pressure and your legs get extremely jello-y and heavy, and it becomes very difficult to catch your breath because Luis Moreno extends a lot of rallies. He applies a lot of pressure with that power. So if Robbie McCarthy has the leg strength and the lung strength, I believe we'll see a possibly 2.5 hour match that is high scoring in all 3 games. If Robbie McCarthy is unable to run with Luis Moreno, we could see Luis Moreno actually run away with possibly a close first game and not so close second game. But I'm expecting a 3-game thriller, Dave, and I won't say who my bags of sand are on.
Well, the second game's about ready to start. You saw in the between these 2 games, DJ Carroll come up and give some advice to Mike Finnegan. DJ Carroll, of course, the famous hurler here in Ireland. Excuse me, DJ Carey. I don't know why I said Carroll. And we're still thinking of Brian Carroll. Once you see that kid, he hypnotizes you. But DJ Carey, famous here in Ireland with his hurling and also his handball play. One of the best handball players recent past times. Came up and gave Mike Finnegan some advice. That must probably feel pretty good because he's a celebrity too, on and off the pitch or the court. He's also a top golfer.
I hope that didn't upset Paul Brady's. You know, Paul Brady's one of these guys, Dave, that you don't want to make mad.
There's too many Carrolls and Carries around here.
Paul Brady will take something like that as a slight, but it looks like Mike Finnegan, Dave, is inspired after catching that right crack on the first serve, and now he's got his first lead of the match. Paul Brady gave Michael Finnegan an opening there to take a 2-0 lead, but Mike just skipping that ball. Both these guys, Dave, can pop the return of serve to the ceiling seemingly at will. Such a difficult shot. That's the danger of shooting the corner with your opponent in front of you. The ball comes right back to the center. If it's not rolled out flat, most of the time your opponent will re-kill right in front of himself.
Oh, look at that shot right there from Paul Brady behind the back. And then floored by Mike Finnegan.
Mike Finnegan looking at the referee. I think he's asking for a screen.
Well, Paul ran right in front of him during his shot there. I'd like to see a replay, although I'm not sure our camera will be able to pick it up from the angle that we play the replays on. But it's always a terrible situation when a player is trying to reimagine a story that took place when the referee didn't see it, because you're out of breath, you're not thinking about it, you completely get out of your mind because you don't know how to put it into words. You're using examples and hand figures, and it just doesn't work, Dave.
Well, it's one of those situations, Dave, where you say, well, you know, he took the shot. He took the shot, but he didn't have the shot the way he wanted it. It's not as though he can just catch the ball and say, well, I think I was screened there, because he still does want that shot, but at the same time, he's distracted. In any event, Dave, it was an unforced error for Mike Finnegan. Now Paul Brady back in the server's box, serving it 1-all. And Paul there didn't need to hit that shot that low. Could have hit that a foot high with a little bit of a reverse on it. Back down the right wall.
We're together at 1 here. Mike has an open shot. He gets to the ball. He hits it. Paul Brady's unable to get it. And it's another point for Finnegan.
Round of applause there as the crowd applauding Paul's 2-bounce call.
I believe Paul's probably one of the most fair players in handball. Then again, when you're dominating everybody with ace serves after ace serve, what is there to complain about? My only knock on Paul was the 2009 World Championships, when he knew balls were short and the referees, line judges, were getting them wrong. He could have stepped up.
I also believe you might have knocked him for that injury timeout, Dave, he took in the middle of the tiebreaker, if I remember
I don't knock him
correctly.
for taking it. I knock the referee for granting it. Yeah, that's going to be appealed. That might be overturned. I could not see it from my
It was overturned.
angle, but it looked like it was good, just based on how the ball popped up.
I believe that might have been a bad bounce off the window as the ball came off a lot faster than it would have.
Nice get right there from Finnegan, and Paul Brady jumps on top of him and pushes him down to the ground. You're going to see a smile here from Paul Brady's face as Mike Finnegan also smiling.
Let's take a quick look at that last play, Dave, if we can. I thought Michael had re-killed that shot, but
Yep.
Paul so quick, he was there in plenty of time, just didn't have a play on the ball because it was literally right in Mike's kitchen.
Let's take a look here. Paul Brady not only gets to the ball, but he also shoves Mike Finnegan down on the ground, and you see a huge smile on Mike Finnegan's face. Right there.
And does that hit Mike Finnegan there, Dave, before the hinder?
I'm not sure, but
Could he have gotten out of the way of the shot?
I don't think so. But you see Kat and Kit standing right there in the upper deck looking down. That's Mike's sister on the right-hand side and father on the left, and they both are sharing a smile too. You kind of heard a gasp, I should say, from the crowd right when that collision took place, and I think that was Kat, the sister of Mike, making that noise. She lives in Cavan.
You saw the sportsmanship there, Dave. Paul holding up as he went crashing into Michael there.
Well, he could have put a knee right into his back if he wanted to. That's unbelievable, Dave. We've been seeing that shot for the past 10 years or so. It's just a laser when he sets up. I've never seen anything like it before.
I have a feeling you'll be saying that quite a bit in our next match as well. In fact, I'm going to count how many times you do say it.
Paul thinks there was a bad bounce up there.
This is the most I've ever seen Paul speak, Dave, during a match or outside of a match.
That's going to be appealed.
I think that was good. This match is being played in a wonderful spirit, Dave. You can tell these guys both really enjoying themselves out there.
Well, they're best friends.
And that's what it should be about.
Right after that bad bounce, that no bad bounce call, I could almost imagine, I've been around both of these guys together, I can hear Paul Brady saying it took a bad bounce, it's supposed to wrap around, it hit me. Mike would say something like, you know, give your mate a chance. Something like that, and Paul said, well, you know, it was a bad bounce. And then Finnegan would say, just shut up and let me serve this next ball. And that's kind of how they talk back and forth to each other. I've seen them at work. Opposite of you and I, where we will actually meet each other out in the parking lot with weapons to fight and potentially kill each other. Amazing serve right there from Paul Brady. And don't think that story is unreal, because
it's one of the few that is real.
Pass shot right there from Mike Finnegan, giving Paul Brady a little taste of what he's been doing.
Paul Brady between the legs there, Dave. And it looked like Paul was in good position there, but Mike with enough velocity on that to keep the ball down. And that's one of the few times, Dave, that I've seen Paul Brady fooled on a serve. He guessed right. Mike Finnegan went behind him with a reverse to the left, and it was an ace.
Mike Finnegan has 5 points. Paul Brady has 4. That's another point, double bounce.
And now Michael completely on fire, Dave. 2 cracks and an ace.
And another one. There's going to be a timeout called here in a minute.
4 consecutive points now for Michael Finnegan.
Mike Finnegan is in fuego. And I think there's another one.
If ever Paul Brady was going to call a timeout, Dave, it would have to be now.
I don't think Paul Brady's ever called a timeout. That's a short ball. Mike's going to appeal just so he can get more camera time. I don't know about that serve. Oh, well, he got another point off of it.
And now 5 straight points. The last one coming on a Paul Brady hand air with his left hand from the back court.
I haven't seen anything like this since the 2008 U.S. Open against Luis Moreno.
Luis Moreno dominating the first game in that match, winning 21-9, stunned about 400 people in that Lowe's Cab gallery, and stunning them even more by coming back from a 10-1 deficit in the tiebreaker to win 11-10.
That was back when Luis was still a teenager. See what Paul does here. Look at that power. Mike's able to get that ball back, and it just barely misses the front wall.
We've seen Paul, Dave, play 4 or 5 really close matches since 2006, and his style of play does change as matches get tight. He plays a lot more conservatively. You see him hitting a lot more pass shots, Irish whips. You see him taking the ball up to the roof a lot more often. We saw that in 2008 when he played Tony Healy in the finals of the USHA 4-Wall Nationals, winning that 11-9. We also saw that in the 2006 Simple Green U.S. Open when he defeated Nadia Alvarado 20-21, 21-14, 11-7 in one of the greatest matches I believe that's ever been filmed. So if Mike Finnegan can keep the pressure, keep the scoreboard pressure on, we could see a little bit more of a conservative Paul Brady.
Paul just hits 2 cracks back to back. The second one somehow stayed up. This is where Paul's really dangerous. Look at that shot. He sets up so perfect off the back wall.
Paul now playing from behind. Very unusual.
And 3 straight points now for Paul Brady.
And a quick timeout from Mike Finnegan. He wants to try and cool off Paul Brady if he can. Paul Brady now feeling it. 3 quick points, but he still trails here, Dave, by 2. 7-9. He'll be serving when we come back in about 45 seconds. But Paul Brady, Dave, winning game number 1, 21-10 in cruise control. He started cruising here in the second game until Mike Finnegan just caught fire.
Do you think that because Mike Finnegan plays Paul Brady so much that they're only separated by a few minutes just down the street? Obviously, they're sparring partners. Not only are they doubles partners, but they're sparring partners. But nobody on this planet knows more about Paul Brady's game than Mike Finnegan. And if there ever was a person that would have a chance to push him deep into the double digits, it would have to be this guy because he plays them all the time. Also, he has nothing to lose. He's coming into this. Everything is really for Paul Brady to lose, not Mike Finnegan. Mike has no pressure whatsoever, but Paul has all the pressure. He's playing against this big crowd. Mike Finnegan, he doesn't really think that he should be in this position. He had to go through Sean Lennon and Nadi Alvarado and Billy O'Donnell, and now he's up against a guy that he knows like the back of his hand.
Well, a lot of guys say, Dave, after they've played Paul Brady, I wish I could play him more. I wish I could understand his style more and see that power more. Mike Finnegan's the guy that does get to play him more.
And he's the guy that's scoring more points than anybody else. In fact, Mike Finnegan scored more points already combined than any other player in this tournament against Paul Brady, and we're together at 9.
And that was a well-deserved round of applause as both guys playing great handball over the last 10 minutes. Mike Finnegan surging to a 5-point lead and Paul Brady erasing it in this very inning with 5 consecutive points, and he's still going. This should be number 6.
That's a beautiful shot.
It looks like Paul Brady actually practices that shot. Have you ever heard of a handball player going in the court and practicing that very shot? But he was prepared for that exact scenario.
Well, it's finally somebody played that shot right, Dave. Everyone else has been hitting it too hard. But yeah, he probably does practice that. I think Paul's practiced every single shot. Look at it. I've not even seen a weakness yet. His only weakness is that nobody has pushed him to see how strong his head is at 20-20 in a second game after losing the first one. I mean, it's happened, but it's been very rare.
And Paul Brady has so much power, Dave, that he's able to win points with 2-wall passes. Most top players, Dave, hit 2-wall passes to set up an kill shot opportunity, but he wins the point outright with those shots.
Dave, I find this very interesting that Paul Brady has that black tape on his middle finger on both of his gloves, which I believe is an offense. I don't think you can put any object on the outside of your gloves, especially an object that's black. Now, I'm not trying to start anything, but I know what the rules are, and you can't put any type of object on your gloves, especially black colors.
Maybe
and you can see it on both of his.
Respect to someone who's recently perished. You know, players wear a number on the side of their jersey or sometimes something on their helmet, hat.
I believe that's a stretch. That's what you call a stretch right there. You found a good way of getting me off a subject.
It's not easy.
Finnegan's able to get to the ball, but I think he'd be better suited to actually leave his feet so he can get a scoop angle up to the back wall. He's been missing that back to front, hitting it too low.
Not quite putting the right spin on that shot from the back to front. And that's a great pickup from Mike. Would have been a winner against anyone else. And Mike going to the open hand splat attempt. Never seen an Irish player try that shot, Dave.
I saw Tony Healy do it quite successfully, but you're right, it's not something that's very common. Let's look at the replay here. Big, huge setup to the front wall. Watch how Paul almost carries this ball. It's like a whip around carry, and it's just a smooth little paddle into that left corner. He knows that Mike Finnegan's back, and he gets the point.
Amazingly, Dave, we see the majority of players losing the rally when they have that exact shot, either hitting themselves with the ball or hitting right at their opponents, and then they're stuck against the front wall, left to scramble for the next shot. Paul Brady, though, knew exactly how to play that.
It got really exciting here, Dave, when Mike Finnegan was up 9-4, and now he is trailing 15-9 with 9 straight points from Paul Brady.
Well, Dave, I think we'll see a lot of that excitement throughout our next match where everyone here is expecting a really close battle. Unfortunately, Paul Brady just so good that everyone expects him to win easily. I think he's being pushed a lot more than most people expected here, and that's all credit towards Mike Finnegan.
That really just tells you how good Paul Brady is, because he won the first game 21-10, and right now he's leading 15-9. This is a semifinal. That's pretty good dominating performance, but from what we've seen from Paul Brady over the last 8 years or so, it did look like he got pushed just a little bit up to this point. So I agree with you. Although on paper, when we look back and see the line scores here as he attempts to get his 4th straight world championship, it probably won't be much different than any of the other tournaments he's ever been in.
Well, we saw Paul Brady pushed to the absolute limit physically and emotionally in the last World Championship final by Alan Garner. Now, Paul Brady was certainly injured there, but won that 11-7 in the tiebreaker, and Alan Garner had all the momentum at the end of that tiebreaker, just missing a couple of shots. Very well could have been the world champion that year.
That's a huge overhit. Mike Finnegan almost hit his own body with that ball. Paul Brady completely overhit that ball, now shaking his head. Mike Finnegan is quite the character, Dave. A real fun guy. If you can understand his dialect, he has an incredible sense of humor. I don't know if you spend much time around Mike Finnegan or not.
Never have, actually. I'm surprised that wasn't replayed.
I thought I saw some contact.
Great return of serve there, but it hangs up short. And you see how far up Mike Finnegan went, all the way up to the foot fault line. Paul Brady exploiting that with an easy 2-wall pass. Oh, just an amazing serve. That was a flat kill off the side wall. There's only about 3 or 4 guys in the world that can do that, Dave, that can hit the ball that hard to make the ball roll out flat off the side wall. Paul Brady, obviously one of them.
It's a short ball. Score is 9-17. It's a second serve coming up for Paul Brady. He's attempting to get his 4th straight World Championship final here. Mike Finnegan digs that ball out. Paul Brady goes back to the corner again. Finnegan with the paddle. Finnegan's going to catch up, but again, he can't get it back to the front wall with that back to front shot.
And Michael Finnegan really letting it all hang out here, Dave. He's not going to leave anything on the court. Deep into this second game, he's still making unbelievable retrieves.
I believe he too wants to get into double digits. Mike thought the ball skipped in, but Paul told him to get back into your spot. Now Paul's getting funky.
And
goes
Paul
for that
hit
left
that
kill.
with a behind the back fist. So it's hard enough to hit the ball behind the back, Dave, but the surface area is so much smaller with the hit with the fist, and he still hits it perfectly.
I don't think Paul had to go behind the back there.
He hit a behind the back fist reverse. I wouldn't have believed that unless I saw it with my own eyes, Dave. And now Paul just brimming with confidence as he usually is. He's using his entire playbook right now.
Wow, that's a great serve right there. Paul Brady now serving to take the match, and you listen to the crowd noise here as they will erupt for really one of the greatest players of all time, Paul Brady.
You saw the
there
flash
it is.
photography today. They thought Paul would go for the kill, but it was a wraparound that was good enough to end it. And as expected, Dave, it's Paul Brady advancing with a 21-10, 21-9 victory.
You see the crowd here as they really appreciate all the hard work that Paul Brady has put into this game to prepare himself to become the champion that he is. Paul Brady defeating Michael Finnegan in front of literally thousands of people here at City West. It's the World Handball Championships in Dublin, Ireland. Men's semifinals. Paul Brady now advances to the finals for the 4th straight time. That's a 12-year span of excellent handball play from the 7-time U.S. national champion, Paul Brady. Robbie McCarthy now warming up for his match against Luis Moreno, and we're going to take a quick 10 to 15-minute break, and we'll be back for that second semifinal match as we get ready for some more amazing handball. Robbie McCarthy, Luis Moreno, right around the corner. For those in the production van and the full crew helping out this broadcast, we appreciate it. I want to say thanks to Dave Fink. My name is Dave Vincent. We'll be back in just a bit here at City West Arena for the World Handball Championships. You stick around. Racefor8.com.
got the referee's mic here. Could you just solo it and make sure I got the right one? 1, 2, 1, 2. Perfect, thanks.
I want that one. A little easier to put it on this than a sweatshirt, huh?
It is. But you get used to it.
You've been doing this a while.
Yeah. All right.
It's Patty Collins. Yeah. Take your best ball. Pretty consistent. Okay, you guys are here to play ball, and that's what you're going to do. I'll let you play. If you have contact on the backswing, you call it immediately or the shot counts. You see a bad bounce, call it immediately. If you take the shot, it counts. Please wait for the score to be called before you serve. I got Patty Collins on the line over here. And what's his name?
That's Thurman.
Thurman?
Thurman.
Thurman.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll be heads on the loony. That's heads on the loony.
No, that's heads. 2 is heads, all right?
Okay, 2 is heads.
So we count as tails, all right?
Got it?
Yeah.
All right, Luis? Tails. Okay, quiet down, please. Quiet down, please. The second men's open semifinal. Serving from Westmeath, Robbie McCarthy. Receiving from Tucson, Arizona, Luis Moreno. 0-0.
Is where Robbie McCarthy finds home. This is the men's semifinals of the World Handball Championships, and he gets an easy point on a cracked serve, does Robbie McCarthy, Dave.
1-0.
This is the most highly anticipated matchup thus far in the event, Dave.
Coming
I know
in.
fans, Dave, have been looking forward to this matchup for a couple of years. These two did not face off the last time
0-1.
Robbie McCarthy made the trip to the United States, winning the 2011 U.S. Open. Luis losing in the semifinal there.
Second serve.
It's always
Coming
interesting,
in.
Dave, when junior rivals continue that rivalry into the open
0-1,
level,
1-0.
into the top level of the sport.
Fault. Left foot.
Andy Murray and Novak Djokovic, Dave, grew up playing together in all the junior
Left foot,
championships,
foot
and now
fault.
they find themselves playing in Grand Slam finals, very similar to what we're seeing here today.
He did not see it. He did not see it. I'm staying with my call.
The call was a foot fault.
Well, he called multiple foot faults
Second serve.
a couple days ago, did Dave Steinberg, especially against Paul Brady, and it took him completely out of his game. Within the first 5 points of the game, Dave Steinberg called 6 foot faults against Paul Brady. And it was
Coming
really
in.
the talk of the after match
0-1.
between the fans here in the crowd that could not believe there were 12
Fault.
complete foot faults in that match.
What's a complete foot fault? Is that different from a half foot fault?
Well, there's some missed foot fault
Oh,
calls.
missed calls. Nice
But-
save.
Yeah, a foot fault, for those at home not really familiar with it, is when the server goes
1-0.
over the line at time of impact. You see how close Robbie McCarthy's front
Point.
toe is when he swings across the line. It gives him a little bit more leverage as he gets closer and he gets to
2-0.
use all that weight transferring forward. It's very...
Coming in.
Robbie
0-2.
McCarthy serving that last ball into the ground.
In a minute, we'll show you a freeze of Robbie McCarthy's foot going over that line after the serve, so you can see what the referee is also looking at.
I believe his foot didn't go over the line.
Well, we're going to find out. We have a
Okay.
freeze of it on the one that Dave Steinberg called.
Point.
Beautiful shot
Here it
there
is
from
here.
Luis Moreno. Hard to tell from
1-2.
that angle.
Well, I see the green line slicing his foot in half there.
Amazing shot from Robbie McCarthy,
Coming in.
Dave. Comes under that ball and flicks it.
2-1. Short.
About what we expect here thus far, Dave. We've seen
I call the
a
ball
couple
short.
of just incredible shots, and then we've seen some really
Short.
strange errors. And that's what you
One
see from
agree,
these
one
guys, Dave. They're
disagree.
all or nothing type players.
Second serve.
Luis Moreno, Dave, very much like Owen Kennedy, does not make a lot of errors. You see Luis plays very high percentage ball. He drives the ball down the walls with a lot of pace and a lot of hop.
Coming in.
He doesn't necessarily aim for the bottom board like a Paul Brady or even a
1-2.
Robbie McCarthy. He gets his points, Dave, with ace serves and power drives.
His power passes are unbelievable. Look at that get right there. That's another thing that he does
Point.
very well, and there's a point now being called for Luis Moreno. Robbie did not like the fact that Luis jumped up there.
Well, I'm surprised that wasn't replayed
2-2.
because Robbie was screened. He had to go around Luis. He still had his hand on that shot. I don't know how
Nice.
you justify that non-call.
Coming in.
I think the ref needs to be sure that he's
2-2.
acclimated the speed of both of these guys.
Fault.
And now that's the second serve that Robbie's hit into the ground just 4 points into this match. Hard to
2-2.
believe. We haven't seen 2 serves in the ground, Dave, in this entire tournament combined
Point.
in any of the show court matches, and now we've already had 2 by the same guy in 4 points.
3-2. Point. 4-2.
Score here is 4-2. Luis hinders Robbie just enough there.
Coming in.
Luis looks really good right now, Dave. He's looked good in all of his matches. He's more focused than I've ever seen him. He wants to
2-4.
restore the top of the handball world in the United States.
That ball was plastered.
Coming in.
I don't know if Paul Brady is back icing himself or trying to watch this somewhere,
4-2.
but this is who he is going to play in the finals tomorrow evening. And there's a
Point.
beautiful serve right there from Luis Moreno. And there's a lot of crowd support here for the Tucson, Arizona native, Luis Moreno, representing the
5-2.
WPH Race for 8 elite squad.
Well, Luis had a lot of fans make the
Point.
trip specifically just to watch him.
Now Luis is getting hot here with these serves.
Start.
Luis had Robbie leaning the wrong way.
Luis wearing the red shorts, black shirt, red eyewear.
Second serve.
Very coordinated. His shoes also red and black.
Luis actually looks like he's on a team. And that was just a terrible mistake right there from Luis Moreno.
Well,
Side
Robbie
out.
feathering that return. Very difficult second serve to handle. Robbie puts it right on the wall.
Robbie McCarthy, the current 60 by 30 national champion.
Point.
That looked like it was short, Dave.
That was short.
Call the serve good.
That was short by 6 inches or more.
Both disagree. Two serves.
No, it should be one serve.
Both disagree. I called it short. Both disagree. Two serves.
No, he called it
That's
good.
the wrong call.
The referee called it good, and they're disagreeing. There's the ball on the replay screen there, Dave. It was 6 inches short.
No, it should have been a second serve if both.
No, you're right, Dave. It is
Yeah.
a second serve, but the referee confused himself.
Okay.
He actually called the ball good, and the line judges overturned it.
Which makes it a second serve.
You're right, but then he turned around and told the players that he said it was bad.
Point.
And that the line judges disagreed with him.
I'm trying to move past that because it was egregious.
Nice get right there from Robbie McCarthy. He stands up, should be an avoidable hinder. No call from the referee.
I hope the referee was prepared to call an avoidable there because that's as obvious as it gets.
Well, Luis could have got really hurt there. That's why you have to call that avoidable immediately. You can't just wait for the player to take it. You can stand up and lose an arm.
Coming in.
And that's one of the rare times you'll see Luis Moreno make a hander on a ball hit right at him. He's got amazing hands, just like his counterpart tonight, Robbie McCarthy.
Nice get right there, McCarthy. He's used to sparring with Brian Carroll.
Point.
I thought that was a screen.
That was an obvious screen. I mean, that went right behind Luis Moreno. Already we're seeing, Dave,
That's
some problems here.
That's a horrible call, Dave, and I hate to be into that mode, but that ball was such a screen. I don't know why we're not replaying that. Robbie is completely handling himself well here because I would be erupting if I was in the court.
But maybe too well, though, because he's not earning the respect of the referee to get those calls in the future.
Well, Robbie couldn't even see that ball. He just reached out and grabbed it at the last second.
Well, he swung behind his back on a ball that was right to him that he could have easily played.
Now we're back in here. Luis overhits a lot of balls, Dave. And when he does that, his opponents, especially ones that have opposing power like his, put it away. There's a side out.
3-6. Fault.
Robbie way over the line there with his foot. You know, Dave, we had no idea who ref the last match or any of the matches played today. Already here, Dave, 5 minutes into this first round, we know about the ref, and we've talked about him on several occasions. That's not a good sign at all.
I don't want to talk about the ref, but I don't know
Let's
what else
talk
to
about that
talk about.
incredible pickup re-kill from Robbie McCarthy there.
We can talk about Derek Jeter breaking his ankle, I guess. Oh, Robbie almost missed that ceiling shot. Luis is going to go down low. Robbie pops it back up.
You see Robbie putting the downspin on that chop, and it was enough to throw Luis off and force the air.
If Robbie can score a point here, you're going to hear the crowd put their hands together. Robbie is used to a get artist, Dave. Somebody that can retrieve his balls. I feel that he is probably pretty comfortable playing a guy like Luis Moreno. I'm not sure if he's comfortable playing a guy like Luis Moreno with those serves of Luis's, though. That's a beautiful pass. A pass shot right there.
It's a win-win shot. If he doesn't clip the sidewall, it's a point, and if he does, it's still a point.
This is a big setup for Luis Moreno. See what he does here. And he floors it into the ground. He's had a lot of trouble with that in this tournament.
I don't expect to see too many of those type of errors from Luis Moreno.
5-6.
shot from Luis. Robbie keeps the rally alive.
Nice get right there from Robbie McCarthy. Underhand shovel. It's almost as if Luis Moreno is playing Luis Moreno.
Oh, it's amazing that Robbie's kept this rally alive. Luis hit 4 perfect 2-all passes in a row. And now Robbie's still with the leg strength to just drive ball after ball.
This is the best rally of the tournament, Dave. Over hit from Luis Moreno. Let's see what Robbie does here. Goes hard. Luis is unable to catch it, and the crowd likes it. And we're all together at 6.
That was truly phenomenal, Dave. Certainly was the best rally of the tournament. And it's a double round of applause, not only for that rally, Dave, but for the score being tied.
Point.
Luis hitting himself with the ball there, Dave. A routine pass shot or kill shot attempt. Luis tries to be too perfect with it and actually catches his hand on the way back. I think that would have been a winning shot. Luis, Dave, has a number of supporters, hundreds in fact, in the gallery here. But don't forget, Dave, Robbie McCarthy is playing not only for his country, in his home nation, but he's also got his entire family here, Dave. He's got a daughter, he's got a 2-month-old son, he's got his parents here.
8-6.
He's got a lot of support.
Had a very interesting play there, Dave, during your family speech, where Robbie tripped on Luis Moreno at time of impact, turned around and looked for a contact, as we've been trained to do. Raise your hands when you make one. Referee did not give it to him. Luis Moreno hit it into the floor. Luis turns around to the referee and says, he picked up his hands, I'm just playing through the ball. And referee says, point.
Robbie McCarthy now, Dave, on a 7-0 scoring run. As Luis Moreno
9-6.
gets a little batting practice in there, Dave, between points.
Referee says, timeout, Luis, after he threw the ball a couple times.
And Robbie McCarthy, Dave, has had, sorry to interrupt you there, he's had huge back wall setups in the last 4 rallies. He's converted on each of them, but Luis Moreno will not be able to continue to feed those back wall setups to Robbie McCarthy. It'll be a short night for Luis.
Point.
And now Robbie finds the serve, and you see him clap those fists together with the ace on the right
11-6.
side wall.
Coming in.
And finally, Luis able to hit a shot Robbie's unable to track down, and he earns the side out after a 9-point scoring run. Still has not scored in the last 9 points scored.
Ball.
During the next timeout, we'll look at that very long rally. Hopefully we can play it in real time as opposed to slow motion. It might take 20 minutes, but that'll be during the next timeout. Robbie has to do a little sidestep to get around that ball. Looks like we're square dancing here.
Thank you. Point.
Beautiful left-hand re-kill from Luis. Looked like that shot might give him trouble, but instead he peppers it 2 inches high.
Robbie almost overran that shot.
I believe, Dave, these guys so good that they're actually bringing out the best in each other. This is the best I've seen Luis play in 4 or 5 years, dating back to that win against Paul Brady. And this is the best I've ever seen Robbie McCarthy play. And I know we're just halfway through this first game, but this is what these superstar athletes need, is another superstar to bring out the best in them.
Okay, let's look at, if we can, that long rally that we saw between Luis Moreno and Robbie McCarthy. Let's just go ahead and cue that up and let that play during this timeout.
And this is where Luis really gets Robbie on the ropes here. There's the second 2-all pass. Now a third.
Where is he?
And now it's Robbie going to the 2-all pass.
15 seconds.
goes inside out to win that point, Dave. But how do these guys have the leg strength to continue to change directions and keep that rally alive?
That was a 27-shot rally. I counted it there. That's why it was hard to talk during that replay. I would have been able to call a timeout after about the 13th shot. These guys just kept playing after that. There was no timeout called.
There's some problems over here with the equipment. Luis does not have his gloves on. I don't know if he has enough gloves. Luis,
you wanted a glove change, you should have asked for it.
Luis, oftentimes, Dave plays a tournament with one pair of gloves. He's already had to change. The reason being, Dave, is there's no air circulating here in this arena. So even though it doesn't feel hot in here, when you're on the court, the sweat just pours off you. I had to change my shirt 2 or 3 times a game, and I don't generally sweat all that much.
Referee just assessed Luis Moreno with a timeout, and that's why you see a little fireworks there with our referee, David Steinberg and Luis Moreno.
When Luis gets upset, Dave, he either plays unbelievably well or unbelievably poorly. So we'll see which.
11-7.
We'll see which Moreno, Dave, shows up here after that timeout. He feels like he was a little bit dissed, being charged a timeout.
Luis does not respond well to that type of talk from anybody.
Well, that squashes Luis's emotions right there as he makes an error, and now we're
12-7.
Right back to where we were before the timeout. I believe if Luis comes in after the timeout and uses that anger, scores a couple of quick points, you'll see him run with that. But fortunately for Robbie,
coming in,
Luis makes an error, but then Luis follows it up with a beautiful back wall kill off the return of serve.
Well, I like the body language from Luis right now. He almost ran to the server's box, and when he wants the ball, that's a dangerous thing. I've seen Luis play mad, and he is so dangerous. But I have also seen him go the opposite way. Uh-oh, this is not going to be good. Avoidable hinder called.
I actually agree with the call.
Right in front of him.
It's just an unbelievable call right there.
You're right in front of him.
I agree with the call, Dave. That's the call we've talked about quite a bit.
We have, but he didn't back out of the
box. If you were off to the side, I would not call. You were right in front of him.
I think, Dave, if you did see the replay, you'd see that he did take a step or two back.
Luis,
the ball popped
right
way out.
In front of him.
Luis making a lot of looks over here in our booth, and if we had a chance to look at that, you're going to see that he's still standing on that green line.
12-7.
That's the short ball. Let's stay right here with this replay. Here's this. Luis is over to the right side here. The ball goes around the revolving door, Dave.
Where can Robbie hit that shot, Dave? He did back in. He backed up about 5 feet.
Serve.
I'll accept your apology whenever you're ready.
I believe Luis is off to the right side, though, and that camera angle, of course, is looking to the right, Dave.
Okay.
It has everybody lined up. It even has Luis and Robbie lined up right now, and they're standing next to each other.
At least 3 more excuses.
Coming in.
Like to see a direct from behind, like this angle right here would show you much better than the one we saw. Hey, Luis does the same thing again.
Thought we were watching an instant replay there.
Point.
I thought so as well.
8-12.
But you're right, that is
replay.
One of those shots that you and I have been really lobbying for the referees to call avoidable hinders on the revolving door around the back when the player just turns his back and doesn't look.
Point.
We've actually had pro player meetings on that particular circumstance. I applaud the referee.
Well, Luis Moreno never made those pro player meetings. I'm not being facetious. This ball's going to be a big, huge setup.
Luis should have put that away. Now he's buried in that back corner. That's just one of those fortunate breaks for Robbie McCarthy as he catches the front wall ceiling. The ball comes straight down at a 90-degree angle, and Luis has no play on it in that back left corner.
There's another short ball.
Second serve.
I just say if you're going to call that revolving door hinder, you better call it every single time on every player. You can't just call it one time.
Well, I think that'll stop that from happening, certainly in this match.
Well, it didn't immediately afterwards when Luis did the same thing, but I think for Luis, he feels picked on because he just got assessed with a timeout for changing his gloves in the middle of a timeout.
Point.
And then he showed the gloves to the referee and said they're wet, and the ref said, yeah, they are wet, but you didn't ask for it.
Well,
So I'm
that's
giving you a
actually
timeout.
That's actually the ref's responsibility to ask the players to change their gloves, and he should not have assessed Luis Moreno a timeout within the rules. The ref had to order a 2-minute glove change there, and he didn't. So I can understand why Luis, who studies the rule book, would have been upset.
That ball was 2 bounces.
Called by Robbie.
I didn't see his hand come up. I think if his hand would have come up immediately, you would have heard that point call from
11-12.
Well, I think
Steinberg
he
quicker.
said no, but you can't hear the players in the court.
That's 2
Thank you.
bounce.
Point. Together
That
at
time
12.
Robbie did pick it up, and now we're together at 12 with a nice little run here from the Tucson man, Luis Moreno,
12-12.
born in Mexico. That's a
Short.
short ball being called. I'm surprised that
I
Luis
call the
didn't
ball
appeal. Now
short.
he is, and it's an agree
Both agree.
from the left and the right side. Luis from Sonora, Mexico, living in Tucson, Arizona for the duration pretty much of his whole adult life and childhood. Mentored by USHA Hall of Famer and president of the World Players of Handball, Fred Lewis.
Yeah.
Robbie McCarthy, of
Jeez.
course, his spiritual leader is his father, Robbie McCarthy
This
Sr.,
keeps up.
and his 2
We're
sisters.
going to have some headbands coming in.
Our referee threatening to place headbands on the players.
There's nothing worse when a player feels like they're being taunted by the referee. And you can see Luis Moreno's visually upset here.
I mean, you either ask the players to put headbands on or you don't. It's not a threat.
Luis Moreno is about as calm of a guy that you've ever met in your life. I've never really seen him mad before.
Well, did you watch any Race for 8 matches last year? Did you see the finals and semifinals in Fresno?
Yeah, but he does not dwell on it. He'll be mad during the match.
Yeah.
But after off the court, I've never seen him.
So we're talking about off the court now. Hypothetically, what would happen off the court tonight? Is that what you're saying?
I just have never seen him mad on and off the court. I've seen him upset with the referees
Yes.
before, and there's that ball that was called short that looked like it was good there.
Did you see Luis Moreno against Owen Kennedy in the 2010 Fireball Classic? He wasn't happy.
Thought Robbie could have taken that off the back wall. He just stood in one spot and hit it right back to the ceiling.
Beautiful fly kill there from Luis. Luis has all of his
13-12.
WPH Team Elite team members supporting him here.
Short. Second serve. Hold it.
Most of the time, Dave, you coach a player to
Replay.
not just hit the middle of the front wall, but when you hit it as hard with as much hop as
13-12.
Luis Moreno, it's a great play.
Overhit by Luis. Robbie makes him pay.
Replay.
Oh, and it's going to be replayed.
He had that. Yes,
I
he
don't
did.
know about
I
that call.
did.
completely agree with the referee there. Luis had his hand on that ball in one bounce, and he was screened. We can
It was
hopefully
in his
take an
hand.
instant
It was
replay.
in his hand.
Let's look at the
No, it
replay
was in
right
his
here.
hand.
Robbie McCarthy's raising his
You'll
voice.
have to- okay, you have to get to the tournament director for that. No. He had it in his hand. He had it in his hand.
Robbie McCarthy is trying to fire the referee here.
I agree with him, actually. And I don't like the referee sparring back with Robbie McCarthy. That's not his place. You make the call. Does not have to continue to taunt Robbie McCarthy here.
Let's look at the replay again, Dave.
It
The
was in
call
his- I said, it
is
was-
a
no, it was
screen
in
here.
his hand. It was in his hand.
I tend to
Robbie's-
agree with the referee on that call right there because Robbie was actually turning around nonchalantly, not even knowing that Luis was barreling in. He was looking to the left. Luis actually touched that ball on the first bounce.
I agree with the call. I don't like the way the
13-12.
call was explained to Robbie McCarthy.
You like it to be massaged just a little bit more?
No, it doesn't have to be massaged. The call was
Avoidable
made. He
hinder.
doesn't have to keep saying the same thing over and over again.
Another
Right in
avoidable
front of
hinder.
him, Luis.
Oh, no. They're going to need a new referee here, Dave.
You're out. That's an avoidable hinder. You're standing right in front of
No.
him.
Yeah.
12-13.
We've got a number of people, Dave, clamoring to us here to replace the referee. Unfortunately, it's not our job. We're not running this event.
I think if you took a poll
Coming in.
Irish and American players, they would both say, remove the referee.
13-12.
The referee has made himself a huge part of this game.
As he does with every one of the matches that he...
It's just unfortunate.
Hinder.
I don't know why you don't have a Tony Healy, Dave, in the box here, a guy that both players respect, that can respect the speed of the game, and is not going to be confrontational with players.
Point.
The last thing you want, Dave, as a player is a confrontational referee. This is already an emotional game. The last thing you need to do is battle the ref. Luis really serving well right now, Dave. Robbie's got a great return of serve, and he's struggling just to get his hands on these returns. Dave, that's not even a setup, and Robbie McCarthy rolls it out 1 inch high from 36 feet.
Sometimes a player goes in there, they have the opponent that they have to deal with. They have themselves and their own negative attitudes in their own mind to deal with, the crowd sometimes, but now they have to deal with the referee as well. And
this is an emotional game played by humans.
Fault.
Okay, and I don't fault players for showing their emotions or getting upset, but you can't have a referee who's supposed to be up there unbiased and just basically making sure play goes on smoothly, interjecting himself.
Together at 14.
And Luis had some great momentum, and that was broke up, and now it's Robbie McCarthy in here.
14-14.
I don't know how Luis picks that shot up. And Robbie just overpowering Luis, driving the ball right at his feet with a huge wrinkle on it, Dave. I don't even know if that's a wrinkle. That was a right turn.
15-14.
These serves, Dave, are aces against almost every player in the world. And that time, Luis had a great look at a left-handed kill from about 25 feet, and he puts it in the ground.
16-14.
That ball hit Robbie right in the face.
Is that an avoidable also, Dave? I mean, an avoidable was just caught on Luis about 4 minutes ago, where Luis was about 10 feet in front of Robbie off to the right. Robbie was off to the left.
Let's take a look at this. Robbie's pointing at his eye. Ball hit him right in the left eye. This is serious because Robbie is a strong boy, and he's...
Yeah, you got an injury timeout.
He's somebody who would never take a timeout unless he's hurt. He got hit right square in the left eye here. We'll take a look at the replay. I'm sure that's going to swell up a little bit. Robbie turned around and took it right in the face. I see Robbie's father jumping over the barrier here to go see how his son is doing. So we have a close-up here of Robbie's coach, mentor, and now physio, as they say here in Ireland.
Terrible time here. Anytime, Dave, is a terrible time to get hit in the eye, but with Robbie McCarthy taking the lead once again at 16-14.
I think I agreed with one of those avoidable calls when Luis served and backed into the revolving door, but the last one was,
Well,
I think, a little over.
You stated
overboard.
emphatically that you didn't agree with the first one.
I think I believe with, I agree with one of them that I saw, and that was the one that wasn't called that happened afterwards. But then the second one that was called, I don't think I agree with that at all. The first one I was on the fence. The one that wasn't called, I actually can see where it would be an avoidable if he got hit by the ball. But like you said, Robbie's doing the same thing. He's hitting that serve that's going around the revolving door, and does that mean every time he gets hit by the same ball, is it also considered an avoidable if he has his back turned? What's the difference?
I don't think Robbie's moving back at all. I was actually half joking.
Robbie, that was 2 minutes of injury timeout. Resuming play.
We're going to take a look at
16-14. Well, hold it. What is it, Luis?
I just thought it was 15-14.
No, 16-14. You got... Okay, I'll try to be a bit clearer on the microphone.
Referee
I said
just needs
2
to hold
minutes
the
of injury
microphone.
timeout on you.
Referee just needs to hold the microphone about 2 more inches away from his face. When you get too close to it, it becomes muffled. He needs to hold back and
All
yell.
right,
See, he's
resuming
wanting to
play.
put his mouth right onto the
16-14.
microphone. That's not the way you talk into a microphone.
Short.
You have to hold it 2 inches away and then talk louder. That gives you more
Second
clarity.
serve.
Second serve here, Robbie McCarthy.
Unfortunately, Dave, lost in all of this controversy is this incredible play by both guys here. These guys are mirror images of one another, Dave. Very similar styles of game. I think it'll come down to whoever has the most belief in themselves late in these games. Right now, Robbie McCarthy has taken a 17-14 lead. That's certainly by no means insurmountable. When you have two guys, Dave, that are this even, it just comes down to 1 or 2 things and a little bit of self-belief, and that's what we'll be playing tomorrow in the finals.
18-14. Coming in.
And Luis helped by that dark right corner glass. Robbie
14,
unable to read that
18.
shot off the front wall. And how does Robbie not only get that back, Dave, but he defends?
Point.
Oh, and Robbie tries to go for the bottom board from that position. Now it's a point, 15 to 16.
18.
It's actually 18, Dave.
Point.
Make that 16-18. Luis.
It's not 18, it's 16 to 16.
16, 18.
16 to 18, sorry.
You can just send all these apologies in one note in the mail.
I'm surprised that wasn't avoidable there.
16,
Robbie came around the
18.
revolving door with the left and hit Luis right in the back.
Not a good serve there from Luis. And that should have been an avoidable, Dave, I think.
Replay.
And maybe 2 avoidables in the same point.
I called it before that.
Okay, here we go. We're going to hear something from the referee here.
It was a hinder before your shot. Is this coming off of you?
Luis is asking the referee if he can change his shirt. Let's look at this replay here, Dave. This is the revolving door. See, he's stepping back into the shot with the revolving door. If you're not going to call that as an avoidable, why call the other ones? Now he turns around right-handed, and look, he could have got hit again.
This, I believe, is an avoidable right there. That ball was hit extremely slowly. He didn't make any attempt to get out of the way there, Dave.
16, 18.
I'm American, and I try not to be biased, but this isn't about Luis. I think the calls have been just horrible both ways.
Well, unfortunately, it affects both guys. As you're right, Dave, the calls have gone both ways.
I think Luis has been wrong a couple times. I think the call's been wrong a couple times, and there's a point for Luis Moreno.
And Robbie's made 2 errors from the back court, Dave, in the last 3 points, just handing Luis 2 points.
Short.
Luis had Robbie leaning the wrong way, but comes up about a foot short.
Second serve.
And there's a side out, and the crowd likes it. 18 to 17 is the score here with Robbie McCarthy serving in the first game of the men's semifinals.
Luis was tripped up by his own feet there. I think he would have picked that shot up. And Robbie lets that ball go to the back wall. I thought he might shoot that into the right sidewall with his right hand before it made the back wall.
There's a setup. Luis goes for the pass.
Perfect passing shot there from Luis Moreno. And Dave, this game has gone back and forth all the way. Luis Moreno asking to change his shirt now.
Luis is out of timeouts, I believe, and the referee is going to give it to him. He asked for the shirt timeout earlier.
Gloves, please. Okay, thank you.
Robbie does not even want to look
2
at the
minutes.
referee.
Robbie is so upset with that referee, he doesn't even want to talk to
that
him.
on the last out.
He
Too
did
late
ask
now.
for it on the last one. Unbelievable. The referee just said to him, you should have asked for that on the last one. He specifically said in the last one, I'd like to get a new shirt.
Right.
And now the referee's trash talking.
Well, it's hard to listen when you're doing all the talking.
It's unbelievable. You should have asked for it during the last one. He did ask for it in the last one. During the last timeout, Luis Moreno said, quote, my shirt is soaking wet. I need a new one. Can I get it? The referee did not give it to him. And then,
well, he was just completely ignored with that request
he
and then lectured for not having a dry shirt.
Then the referee said, you should have asked for one last time. When Luis said, can I change my shirt? Luis Moreno changing into the blue Race for 8 shirt. He likes his loose. You like yours tight. Robbie McCarthy getting a little bit of wisdom right there from Robbie Sr. His sister off to the right side down low, just out of camera view.
Okay, 30
Aoife
seconds.
McCarthy. They're from Westmeath. There's Robbie getting some brand new gloves that his father had to go down and buy. I don't think Robbie thought that he was going to be getting his gloves checked every 2.5 points from the referee.
Well, it's like I said, Dave, I've never sweat like I have in these courts. The lack of air, there's not a fan, Dave, and there's not any air blowing in this facility, so tremendous amount of condensation, sweat when you're playing. I would have thought the opposite coming to Ireland because there's no humidity here, but
Resuming play.
there's a shot of Robbie's young daughter there.
18-18.
We're all together at 18. We're going to 21.
Not a good serve there from Luis. But Luis takes control of the rally anyway.
That's a nice shot from Robbie. Ball slides down that left wall. Luis somehow keeps up with it. That's a big setup for Luis Moreno. Goes down the middle, and Robbie just paddles it back to that corner. It was a terrible shot from Moreno, who had pretty much 20 different shots he could have used there, and he decided to go fat and wide down the middle.
I actually thought it was a pretty good shot when he hit it, but Robbie just has those amazing hands, and that looked good, Dave.
I thought it was good. That should be an ace.
Both agree.
How could they agree with that, Dave?
Second
I thought
serve.
maybe I'm just losing my mind
I
now.
agree with you.
I have a computer monitor in my way, but it really looked good.
It's
even
one
with
of those things, Dave, where it hit the sidewall before the short line, but it didn't bounce until after the short line. A lot of lines people fooled by that.
I thought that was a screen as well.
Or I think Robbie going the wrong way there. And Robbie somehow, Dave, has the touch off balance to feather that ball into the left corner, stone dead.
18-18.
Now we're trading 18s. That ball looked like it was short on the line.
But look at that return from Luis. Amazing recovery, wraparound shot by Robbie.
Robbie doesn't even move his feet when he flips that ball to the ceiling. Nice power right there from Luis Moreno. Robbie flips it back up again.
There's a mistake from Luis. Robbie makes a bigger mistake, though, and Luis
Point.
stepped across his body there, Dave, with his front foot, got himself completely out of sync, and just drove that ball into the ground.
18.
Nice serve right there from McCarthy.
Surprised Robbie's not looking to take that return of serve out of the air and first strike. The referee letting the play continue wisely.
The hitter ball.
What's frustrating is because Robbie's kind of having a fit trying to get the referee to stop play, and then it affected Luis, who's playing through and actually had an open shot, Dave. Because Robbie was flailing around with his hands, Luis didn't have the opportunity to go for it, as the referee was not going to call that until Robbie made that hinder. Thought Luis was going to attack that one. He goes down low and gets a side out.
Luis Moreno there, Dave. 36-foot right corner kill at a crucial moment.
18-19. Coming in.
And Dave, you have to think this first game is so crucial. Both guys putting everything they have into winning this first game. You have to wonder if the loser will be able to come back from this first game and force a tiebreaker, because this is one of those games, Dave, where it's
Oh, Robbie almost pushed that ball up to the front. Well, I actually anticipated that ball to make it.
I did.
18-19.
Crowd would have erupted. 18-19 here. This is some of the most pressure that Luis has ever had. And there was a crack serve right there. We're together at 19, and the crowd's going crazy again.
19-19.
When I say crowd, it's actually a sold-out show here. And there it is, 20. Luis Moreno goes with that little hook, Dave.
Consecutive aces at the best possible time for Luis Moreno.
20-19.
Watch this. He goes with the reverse, and he'll hit it right at Robbie's feet.
Strike.
That's probably good for Luis.
Luis has a deadly second serve.
Second serve.
He hits this one about 80 miles an hour instead of 90. There he is. Luis Moreno takes game number 1. It was just like that. He was down 18-19, and he gets 3 straight points and the side out to start everything off. And he takes game number 1, 21-19. Dave, do you have a little bit of butterflies in your belly right now?
I actually do. I have never felt that watching a match before, Dave, but that was just absolutely thrilling. Not only, Dave, the 4,000 or 5,000 people packed in here watching it, but the level of play so exceptional, Dave. The speed of the ball throughout the entire game, hit by both players, absolutely spectacular to watch.
Unbelievable play by both of these players. If you were ever to watch a handball match, this is probably it. There's a little bit of fireworks, a little bit of drama, a lot of close play, amazing gets, and bottom board activity as well. But throw all of that in, international scene, world championship. The event is being filmed, and there's literally thousands of people watching here in this spectacular arena. I'm actually a little tongue-tied myself, choked up from the emotion pouring out of this crowd here.
Well, it's one of those things, Dave, where if the game had been played to 23, Robbie McCarthy would have probably won. These guys just kept exchanging 3 or 4 point runs, and it just so happens that Luis's 3 or 4 point run came at the end of that game when he was trailing 18-19, routed off consecutive aces, and then came back with a kill shot to win the game. Robbie McCarthy unable to make that pickup there.
You still have to remember, he was down 16-18, Luis Moreno was, and he came back and got a 5-1 run there at the end of the game, going into clampdown mode and getting some unfortunate play also from Robbie McCarthy. We are going to take a very quick timeout. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We are here at the show court at City West Arena in Dublin, Ireland for the World Handball Championships. Game number 2 in about 3 minutes or so. You stick around. More action on the way here at racefor8.com.
Boys, that was a great game. Yeah.
Luis Moreno takes game number 1, 21-19. My name is Dave Vincent, alongside David
Hold
Fink.
it.
Luis Moreno called for that hinder, and he got it. He looked at the referee and
0-0.
was able to.
The referee, Dave, actually making his way to the broadcast booth
Point.
between games. He jumped over about 10 people looking for approval
1-0.
from the broadcast team for his refereeing job. You know a referee is struggling when between games he's asking people how he's
I call the
doing,
ball short.
and then defensive
Both agree.
when told he's not doing so well. And that's exactly what he was told.
Second serve.
He thought he was going to get some type of approval from us, and it went the other way. Although the one play he did talk about, that looked like a two-bouncer from Moreno.
Coming in.
The play that he was talking about was that screen call late when Moreno
0-1.
dove in. And I actually agreed with that call, so I kind of did agree with the referee. Nice sliding shot right there from Luis Moreno.
Well, this is what I expected, Dave. Luis
1-0.
Moreno looks like he's got all the juice right now and all the momentum after stealing that close first game. And Robbie will have to be careful, Dave, to not fall too far behind here before he gets his second wind.
2-0.
Luis, Dave, is on the verge of really getting into cruise control here. And when Luis gets into cruise control, Dave, there's really not much anybody can do. We saw that all last season on the Race for 8 Pro
3-0.
Tour when he won 5 out of the 8 stops. We saw Luis play a number of very close first games,
Coming in.
only to dominate the second game.
0-3. Coming
And it
in.
looks to me, Dave, like Robbie is struggling with his fitness a little bit right now. Also has to be
3-0.
completely deflated after putting everything he had into that first game.
Second serve.
Robbie McCarthy, Dave, breathing extremely hard, waiting for the serve. Did not even put his hands on his knees, and that time Luis's footwork was a little bit out of sync as he stepped and planted his foot a little bit too soon there before he
3-0.
swung.
Hold on. You miscalled the score. 0-3. Point.
Sorry about that. I took a little time off the microphone to sign some
1-3.
autographs. One serves 3. It wasn't
Does that serve
exactly
short, Dave?
wasn't exactly like the Beatles stepping off the plane
Point.
for me, but I'll take one. I
Now-
thought the ball was close to the line, Dave, on that, but I have a computer monitor that's
Okay.
covering up that corner.
2-3.
But even with that, we're still able to see whether it's short, unbelievably.
Second.
Both guys off to a little bit of a sloppy and slow
2-3.
start here in this second game, Dave.
This is one of my favorite camera angles. The one from the front looking back. Not the front wall, but the side front. Robbie jumps up after he is on the
Coming
ground
in.
every single time, and it's never mentioned by the referee.
But he jumped up to the right that time, giving Luis the lane to come in and play the next
3-2.
shot.
Short. Second serve. Point.
Luis takes care of business there on a ball that was moving just about 3 miles per hour, but he adds about
4-2.
87 miles per hour to that shot. And there's a beautiful
Point.
ace serve for Luis Moreno. Won't officially count as an ace, Dave, because Robbie got his hand on it before it bounced twice, but an unreturned serve.
5-2.
We talked, Dave, off air about keys to victory. If Luis Moreno was able to hit 8 or more serves that were unreturned, he's virtually unbeatable.
Coming in.
The
Luis
first
trades
game, Davey hit 10 unreturned serves. Thus far in this game, 1.
2-5.
Score is 2-5 here with Robbie McCarthy trying to get something going.
Robbie goes to the Irish whip there.
Point.
And I agree with the call by our referee as that ball slid straight on the wall. Luis had a play on it the entire time.
Luis is saying that he was screened. He didn't know it was going to go down the wall because he was screened by McCarthy, but that's just bad positioning. There's some contact, no
Hold it.
call.
That's a hinder.
I don't know why that's called so late, Dave. I mean, was he allowing Luis Moreno the opportunity to roll that out? And then when he didn't, call the hinder? Is that an and one?
Short.
They should make that and one rule official in handball.
I like it.
That way we don't have to beat around the bush.
I mean, there is an unofficial and one now, but let's just go ahead and etch it in.
Robbie McCarthy has the smoothest hands I think I've ever seen.
Amazing shot, and that's, Dave, the most difficult shot in the game. Coming to a complete stop on the dead run, setting up for that back wall kill, and then rolling it an inch high.
4-5.
Oh, that ball hits the crack, and it's a 2 bouncer, and it's another point. Now we're all together at 5 with Robbie McCarthy here. Had a slow start, but he caught back up with Luis Moreno.
We've had 11 ties in this match thus far, Dave. It just goes to show you how competitive this match has been.
I think it's going to come down to hand errors.
I think it's going to come down to great shot making and great pickups.
Well, I hope it does.
Hold it. Replay.
You hear a little bit of rumbling from the crowd here. Robbie
Shouldn't be,
McCarthy
though.
saying he's sorry to the referee there, picking up his hand. But he's played with Brian Carroll, and he knows Brian's able to pick those up. Robbie's playing really close to Luis.
Coming in.
And there is a hand error from Robbie McCarthy.
I wouldn't necessarily call that a hand error, Dave, as that ball was drilled right at his feet with hop.
5-5.
It was drilled all of 40 miles an hour.
I'd call that a forced error.
That's a setup. Luis goes bottom board and just smacks that in. Robbie thought it skipped.
You appeal the serve?
Robbie's appealing the skip in.
Robbie's appealing a slider on the serve. I
No.
thought it was a reverse. Did you see a slider? Neither of them saw it. It's a point.
Robbie was not appealing
6-5.
that. He was appealing the ball skipping in on the front wall on the last shot.
Well, either way, it was Luis's point. That ball was a flat rollout.
Well, they didn't get the peel right, so it's not either way, Dave. And now we see Luis Moreno do exactly what Paul Brady did in his last match against Michael Finnegan, going down to the soft paddle. A little cup shot off the front wall as opposed to hitting it hard like we've seen some of the other players do.
Short. Second serve.
I like the second serve from Luis. He hits a hard 2-wall serve. Robbie's so good at defending with an underhand paddle. I'd like to see Luis try to do something with his left hand to the right side. What's really interesting, Dave, is Luis Moreno's a hop artist, and he's not hurting Robbie with any hop serves.
Coming in.
Well, he did have 9 unreturned serves in that first game, Dave. You have to think the hop had some part in that.
7-5.
There it is. Luis breaks that ball into Robbie. Robbie's lifting up his hand. Maybe there's contact.
Coming in.
Luis lost in the semifinals of the 2009 World Championships, losing there to the blonde bombshell, Alan Garner. He's looking to go one step farther here this year.
There's a foot fault called. That's, I believe, the 5th one of this match. I really like Robbie's ceiling game. Luis might have hit that too hard.
good spot. Luis
Wow.
goes down to one knee there with the left hand from 35 feet.
Coming in.
I think Luis had to
7-5.
there. He was fighting off that side wall, and he wanted to make sure to
Start.
see that ball as long as he could. There's a short ball.
If Luis could locate that behind his body serve to the left, Dave, he'd pick up a number of free points with Robbie leaning right on every serve.
Boy, that's close to being avoidable. I think if Luis gets hit by that
Point.
ball, it's going to be called again, and instead it's a point for Luis Moreno. I do like the serve of his when he goes over to that side wall from the left,
8-5.
but he's now going to go behind himself again.
Do you have to be hit with the ball for it to be avoidable? Because you've altered the shot by standing in the line of fire.
Unless it's a safety hold, and the referee could call it that way, I guess.
9-5.
But yeah, you can't call an avoidable unless the ball hits the guy.
Start.
I'm surprised you're asking that question.
Well, actually, you can call an avoidable. If you show somebody the shot and take it away,
Second serve.
and they've had to change their swing because of it, that isn't avoidable.
I don't think that Robbie changed his swing.
Well, I'm
He
just
went
saying
for a shot and he missed Luis.
I'm saying hypothetically.
Well, you didn't bring the change the
Coming
shot
in.
in scenario.
That's all part of calling an avoidable, even if you don't hit somebody with the ball.
I'd love to keep doing this all night long, but Robbie McCarthy got a side out.
5-9.
Robbie McCarthy needs to make something happen right now. If Luis is able to extend this lead,
I called the serve good.
It was short.
He's appealing as short.
Uh-oh, one didn't see it.
He says it was good. He couldn't see it.
Luis knows
Side
it's
out.
short.
No, he said it was good.
Well, it's so obviously short here. Luis Moreno knows it's short. That's why he's not walking into the
I
service
called
box to take
serve
the ball.
Good.
No, it was a short ball.
You
It
called
was
it
on
short?
the line. It was on the line.
Okay.
Now Luis is saying he can't see it from there. Let's see what the call is.
Okay, the linesman over here saw that it was on the line. He didn't see it. I called it short. We're going to play 2 serves.
Wow.
the referee actually called it good.
The referee did not call it short. He called it good, and now he's saying that he called it
5
short.
9. Hold it.
Dave, that's a
It's-
wrong call all the way around.
It's frustrating, Dave. That in
But the right
middle-
call's been made.
Well, yeah, it's
in a lot of ways. although it-
frustrating that
5-9.
in the middle of the second game that the communication between the referee and his linesman has not yet been figured out.
Coming in.
That gentleman that's lining
but
on
that
the right
wouldn't
side.
matter. Wouldn't matter. The referee called it short.
9
Excuse
5.
me. The referee called it good. But
I'm
then
gonna
when
have
he
to take a
explained it,
bow.
when he explained it to everybody, he said that he called it short, but he didn't call it short. He called it
Unfortunately,
good.
Dave, I'm gonna have to take a vow to no longer talk about this
10-5.
referee. Just made it. I don't know if you're gonna join me or not, but you will not be hearing me again.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and shake your hand on this,
Okay.
but I'm gonna allude to the referee.
Point.
I won't.
I will allude to it, but I won't talk about him. Is that fair?
You can do what you want. I've already taken my vow.
11 5.
Well, I'm gonna take my vow as well. That's equal to your vow, but I'm gonna have a writer.
Can we talk about our vow?
There's that
An
overhead
amazing
fish shot.
tomahawk.
He was there. He was there. He had his hand on it.
We lost one announcer who made a vow not to talk about the
11-5.
ref, so he had to leave because he would be tempted. That was a nice overhand tomahawk from Luis Moreno,
11 5.
who is from Tucson, Arizona, winning the first one 21-19. Here's our announcer returning.
That's a point.
That time Robbie tries to bank in behind Luis Moreno and get the hinder call, but it wasn't given to him. 12 serves 5 here.
Point.
Wow.
That is the best shot of the event, Dave. A flat rollout. Luis Moreno with his left hand.
13 5.
Luis Moreno's on a 20-7 run at this moment. Make that
Point.
21-7 run, and we're going to see a timeout soon. If not,
I think Robbie, Dave, completely exhausted. He needed to win that first game.
14 5.
well, he should have won the first game.
Well,
And now we're seeing swings and misses here from Robbie McCarthy.
Robbie's starting to imagine things now. Slides on the sidewall that aren't there.
15 5.
And Luis just has that limitless energy, Dave. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know what he does, but I've just never seen him tired. He just gains strength throughout matches. And his opponents, conversely, exactly the opposite.
Second serve.
Moreno has been practicing soccer back in Tucson, Arizona. He's on a soccer league, on a soccer team, and he said it's totally helped him out. And if you think about it, that's what he and Paul Brady are really doing. Paul Brady playing Gaelic football, no offense, because you compare soccer to Gaelic football, you might get beat up outside of a pub. But Luis Moreno's doing his version of what Paul Brady has been doing to get those feet so strong, those legs so powerful. Don't write off Robbie McCarthy just yet. He's now scoring points. 15-7 is the score with Robbie McCarthy serving.
That's your first, 60
and Luis Moreno is calling a timeout. You're watching the World Handball Championships men's semifinals here in Dublin, Ireland. Look at that.
That was a great timeout from Luis, Dave. He's leading by 8 points, but he senses that Robbie McCarthy might be on the verge of putting something together here. And Luis is going to shut that down as quickly as he can with a timeout and come in and try and get a quick side out. You know, Dave, players at this level are capable of scoring 10 points in a row with a hot serve and 2 hot hands, and Luis Moreno knows that. He knows he just did it. There's no reason that his counterpart also couldn't do it.
That's a beautiful replay that we have been featuring here with Luis Moreno taking that ball off the revolving door. Instead of revolving around it, he actually stepped back with his left and rolled it flat. And if we had that available to look at, I guess probably for the 5th straight time, I apologize. Back to the van as Robbie McCarthy is talking to his father, Robbie Sr. there for some spiritual advice.
Well, fans will also be able to buy the special highlight reel DVD that'll be available after the 2012-2013 season. That will certainly be on it. That's about a 15 to 20 minute, Dave, I believe, montage of some of the best shots and moments from the WPH Race for 8 season, including the World Championships.
Well, as long as we get Fast Fingers, Liam O'Connor, to do the music for that, I'll be okay with that highlight reel. And now another point for Robbie McCarthy. This one's not over with. Luis Moreno's not in the finals here.
8-15.
Well, he's 6 points from the finals.
Yeah, but Robbie's just scored consecutive points. Has all the momentum right now.
15-8.
Robbie just slices that ball, hits the side wall, checks up, and Luis has got another point, 5 points away from making the final versus Paul Brady. That was short.
Dave, the only player to defeat Luis Moreno since March is Charlie Shanks. Luis Moreno has won every match and every tournament he's played, with the exception of the USHA 4-Wall Nationals.
Yep, handball. Yeah.
Really weird calls here. I thought that ball was short to start everything off.
It was hindered. As he was coming across, he had an easy shot. He lost view of the ball.
I wouldn't call that an easy shot either. Maybe it's just poor wording, but I'm only alluding to the sound I'm hearing from some guy standing in a red shirt. I'm alluding to the referee.
Well, it looked like a difficult shot.
But I'm not talking about the referee.
17-8.
I believe, Dave, the only guy that can withstand the physical onslaught that Luis Moreno imposes is Paul Brady. And it looks like we'll be seeing that matchup tomorrow. And Luis now just camping out in front of the foot fault line, taking 3 straight balls out of the air.
19-8.
And Dave, I'm not surprised at the ease with which Luis Moreno is winning the second game, given that he won that emotional first game.
28.
Score here is 20-8. This is game and match for Luis Moreno to go into the World Championships And Robbie puts it down. Luis says
Thank
it's
you,
two
Luis.
bounces, though, as he slides across the floor like Superman. I don't know what's more difficult to do, dive across the floor like that, or dive and then throw your hands up while you're still sliding, to let the referee know.
8:20.
Let's see how loud this crowd
Start.
gets
Second serve.
when the last points are scored.
Just too much power from Luis.
Robbie
He's actually hitting the ball harder now, Dave. That was the hardest ball he's hit all match. 89 miles per hour.
There's the serve right there. Luis is going to get a
should do it.
checkup. And it is. Luis Moreno is in the finals of the World Handball Championships in Dublin, Ireland. And he has some people at their feet right now in the stands. As he gives that fist pump, raises his hands to the air. Moreno in his first ever World Handball Championship finals as he shakes the hand of the referee here. They're going to catch him in the court with a brief interview. We won't be able to hear that now, but of course it'll be played later. We do appreciate you tuning in to this semifinal matchup. Now it's going to be Paul Brady versus Luis Moreno tomorrow night, right after the women's final between Fiona Shannon and Aisling Riley. Dave, just now you saw a really good match. Robbie McCarthy looked like he was in control of the first game at times. Luis Moreno would come back. Robbie would go up again. He had crowd support, some strange calls, and it seemed like a lot of momentum, but Luis came back and scored 5 unanswered points at the very end to win that. How do you sum up what you just saw between game number 1 and game number 2?
Well, I'm almost dizzy, Dave, from seeing the ball moving that fast, that consistently. Amazing performance, really, from both guys. Luis Moreno was able to maintain that level throughout both games. Robbie McCarthy really seemed to only have one great game in him, and he did play a great game, Dave, in that first game. Unfortunately for him and all these Irish fans, he came up short, but fortunately for all of Luis Moreno's fans, and I know there's a lot of them watching at home and also in the gallery here, Luis has advanced to the final. This is what people have wanted to see, this matchup between the American number 1, the guy that dominated the race for 8 last season, and Paul Brady, the guy that's dominated handball for the last decade.
Luis Moreno representing the R48 Pro Handball season. He is the race champion, the players champion in Seattle, Washington. He closed out the race for 8. He had the most points. He also won the tournament that went alongside it. He gets the trophy, and he is also the top player on that elite squad, making it here to the finals. The number 2 seed, he was the number 2 seed. They switched him around to number 3 right at the last moment, up against the number 1 seed. Robbie McCarthy was seeded second. Luis Moreno is there. Now it's going to be Paul Brady versus Luis Moreno tomorrow. We also talked about Fiona Shannon going after her 4th straight title against Aisling Riley. We appreciate the fact that you tuned in to this broadcast. The World Handball Championships in City West Arena, Dublin, Ireland. We're going to say goodbye for tonight. No more matches after this. That will be streamed live. But we do appreciate that you tuned in, and also appreciate the fact that you got a hold of all of your friends and let them know that handball is on TV. And if you are here in the local area, make sure to let all of those friends around Dublin that play handball or across the country to come down to City West Arena, purchase the ticket, and watch handball live right here in a real arena with this portable three-walled glass court that is available for you for only €10, Dave, which is for the whole weekend. That's an unbelievable price. So we're going to say goodbye for now. For Linda Manning, Donovan, who's back in the van, and all of the workers that have helped make this broadcast a success, as well as Dave Fink. My name is Dave Vincent. See you later. Have a great night.